Give me Mr. Whitmore. Hello? Here's your Florida.
All right.
Bravo.
I think we have a phone issue coming up this time. Apparently, people want to look for Alec Baldwin's phone and want to know what's on it. Now, before we get rolling, though, I want to tell everybody this is also going on Utreon. I'm trying to throw some traffic their way. There's a link in the description, and I stuck one in the chat earlier. If you guys can scroll up and find that, it's always cool to help alternate platforms. But for today, I guess we'll start with the well, where are we going to start? We're all over the place. Mark and I have been digging.
I have no idea. This thing is crazy, and it's like
it is.
It's like a bunch of pods that are spreading, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, no sound from I can't even say that. Myovix. Everybody, let us know how our sound is. Are we even on the levels? Because
are we even on the levels? I think Eric's a little low.
Okay, well, I'll let them, let us know. Their sound is okay. Good. All right. Where do we start?
I don't know. This is just a lot of dots. I don't know. I don't even know if the dots connect to the dots that we've come up with.
We've got bottles too. So.
There's bottles, there's dots. It's hard to separate the whole thing because everything is in real time. It seems to be happening so fast, Eric. I'm scared. I go to bed at night and I have nightmares now.
Okay.
Hey, stately Wade Manor. Very nicely played.
Yes, we got heroes early on. Thank you.
Early on.
For your hair maintenance.
Yeah, look, I got a guy comes in just to maintain the hair, and then he fixes the plumbing. He did the gutter at the house just now. So guy's multifaceted.
Okay, so you know what? Why don't we'll start with pull little sequence. You want to start with Dave Halls?
Okay, let's start with Dave Halls. You could show that little clip maybe that we have, and then we can riff off of that clip, or what do you want
let's do that because everything's kind of coming full circle, it seems, again.
Right.
Or vicious circle.
I'm handed a gun and someone declares, they said, this is a cold gun.
Dave Halls?
The first AD.
There are conflicting statements in reference to who handed the gun to Mr. Baldwin. But at this point in the investigation, I think it's clear to the investigator, and that was Mr. Halls. In the statements from Mr. Halls that he did not recall handing the weapon, or he did not hand the weapon to Mr. Baldwin. Independent witnesses state that he did. So there's a discrepancy there.
Yeah, okay. So that's weird. I don't understand why it was known that he handed the gun over. But I'm thinking back to the early part of our show. We were confused where he even got the gun. We thought it came off of a prop cart. Then we hear, no, Hannah Reed gave it to him. Now we hear, well, I don't know. Maybe he didn't even hand it to Alec Baldwin. So maybe we have a magical sequence to where it teleported from Hannah Reed to Alec Baldwin with the hammer that went back and the magic trigger that never was pulled.
Well, what this guy's talking about, the sheriff here, is the disparity in writing of the actual police report that's now in print. The police report, and they took Halls first, I believe, and he put down what he said happened. And he says in writing that he did not hand the gun to Alec Baldwin, which is putting him in a very, very uncompromising position because everybody there, once they were interviewed, said that he handed the gun to Alec Baldwin. Why he said that, we don't know. His lawyer refuses to address that one concept. Did you hand the gun to Alec Baldwin? She says, I'm not going to address that. So I don't know what she's trying to do. I don't know why he now has a disparity in his police report. And this has opened the door now to yet another investigation, Eric, out of New Mexico. We learned that he is being pursued by the state version of OSHA, the New Mexico OSHA, and specifically the environmental division for some reason. And they're trying to issue a subpoena to him, which he has ducked on numerous occasions. He's being hunted by this woman He's being viciously hunted by this particular lawyer for the environmental division of their OSHA. Her name is Mia Napolitano, Mia Rubin, who was born and raised in South Korea. Again, these are just dots, folks. It's up to you. This woman was adopted by the Rubin family, came over here from South Korea, went to law school, obviously, and is now an environmental attorney who is demanding to interview under oath Dave Halls.
Yes, and
Dave Halls has now agreed with his attorney to be interviewed. They were saying that, rightfully so, I think, that they were waiting for the police report to come out before another investigation started. But this woman, Mia Napolitano, we believe, is related to the Napolitano clan of Arizona and New Mexico, the political version of the Clintons in New Mexico and Arizona. That's their region. This is her husband, Frank Napolitano, who is a government official in charge of WIC. He works for a think tank, actually, out of DC, that is an NGO supporting the mass distribution of food stamps. This is their child, I guess, who's half South Korean and half Italian, as the Napolitano name would indicate. Now, Napolitano is famous in American politics for Janet Napolitano, and that's how we know her as the former governor of Arizona, a state that Eric was born in. Here is Janet Napolitano. She has a history that is very similar to the Clintons. Her name was bandied about for many, many years to be the first woman president. In 2014, I think, or 2013, Forbes magazine voted her the 9th most powerful woman in the world, just so people know who Janet Napolitano was. She was a U.S. attorney appointed by Bill Clinton and out of Arizona. And before that, she worked for the Rocca law firm out of Arizona, the powerful law firm. And she defended a woman in the Senate named Anita Hill. And that's how she made her bones, by being the attorney for Anita Hill in trying to take down Clarence Thomas. In fact, she was accused of witness tampering with the woman who was verifying Anita Hill's story that Clarence Thomas sexually harassed her. She got the date wrong, and that almost condemned her Senate confirmation hearing because she was being grilled under oath and barely skated by the Senate confirmation hearing. And later, as many people are aware, she became the head of Homeland Security and has held numerous political positions throughout the government, and then became, oddly enough, the head of the University of California college system, massive college system in California. She became the dean of the entire system until $175 million was missing from her office. And she was caught in and she was caught in another scandal, forcing the deans of the 10 different campuses in California to flip their votes about her competence. They had voted no competence and no confidence in her leadership, and she was pressuring them to switch their vote to positive, and was caught doing that also.
I know what it might be.
What's that?
I know what it might be. Maybe she believes in redistribution of wealth.
Well, here's another Napolitano who I believe is in a direct lineage with her. This is a Napolitano, Giorgio Napolitano, the head of the Italian Communist Party, the last president and the longest running president of Italy in Italian history. I think he finally ran out of gas in 2015 or 2016, but had a long run as Italian president, and is still, to this day, he's called King Giorgio, by the way. He's still the most virulent communist in Italy and the head of the Italian Communist Party. So I guess the apples don't fall that far from the tree.
Now we have Mia. I've got a little bit pulled up that we could check out and hear from her as to why it's so important that she gets a hold of him right now, which I thought was very interesting.
Environment Department, the arm of the state that investigates workplace safety, wants answers. How did a loaded gun end up on a New Mexico movie set inside a church where one crew member died and another was injured?
It is of particular importance that we interview Mr. Dave Halls as soon as possible. It's the Bureau's understanding that Mr. Halls was inside the church when this workplace fatality and injury to the second person occurred. So the Bureau needs to question Mr. Halls on what occurred inside the church.
This is not part of the criminal investigation. It's an investigation by the Occupational Health and Safety Bureau.
And okay, we'll get through.
Which is part of the State Environment Department. In records filed in this case, the state says they've tried to interview Halls with no luck, that his lawyer wants to wait until the criminal investigation is finished first. The state, though, says they have a 6-month deadline and need to talk to Halls ASAP.
We do have that 6-month timeline to complete ours, whereas the criminal investigation does not have that. And so it is unknown how long that could take.
Now, I hate to say it, I kind of am with his lawyer on that.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't care.
That's crazy.
Who cares about
That's
the
absolutely
stupid
crazy.
deadline?
It's like being contacted by the DMV. You know, what does this organization have to do with anything that happened? You've got the local police, the sheriff's department. It's their case. Now this woman, and I believe this is a Clintonian move in the Napolitano power family to muddy the waters and to get Halls into a contradictory position under oath and to then cherry pick his different statements. And somehow Halls has become their target. And what's that?
I said, oh yeah. I mean,
yeah, I know that's become obvious that there some force has gotten the Napolitanos to, this is their political turf down there, Arizona and New Mexico. They have thrown their hat into this political investigation and now want to target. Now, this could be, just Baldwin's people having a relationship with Napolitano. I don't know how these dots connect. Like I said, this is just a big dot to me. That's, if I was an Indian, it would be in the middle of my forehead. That's how big of a dot this is, because the Napolitano name, you might as well say her name's Rockefeller or Bush or Clinton, and apparently nobody finds this of interest except me, so that's why I wanted to put that out there to the audience and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, when I start hearing Napolitanos want to interview this guy, I agree with his attorney. Now, obviously, why did that sheriff have to come on 2020 and say that there's a discrepancy in his testimony, Eric?
There's other mysterious parts of this too, like Mia Rubin or whatever. Do you notice that it said Mia Rubin by her name?
Yeah.
Also, her LinkedIn was taken down.
Yes, it was. I realized that. And
so was her husband's. So it's like, what's going on with this? It's like,
I don't know.
So you're out there. So it's like, are you trying to distance yourself from the Napolitano name, and suddenly you're showing up as Mia Rubin?
Yeah, because they realize that guys like me are going to zone in on that. And I'm sure that every researcher who's worth his salt is going to zoom in on Napolitano's name. Like I said, it's like saying your name's Clinton, and well, it's George Clinton from Funkadelic,
Well, it could be.
It could very well be. I'm not saying that any of these people are related. It could just be a very common name in the Little Italy of Arizona, or wherever that is,
Wow. Okay. So that's where we are with Dave. I don't believe they're only circling in on Dave, though. I think that it's Dave and Hannah. I think that's
right. But I just want to put out that different factions are circling on different people.
Sure.
That's the concept I wanted to get out, that there is no one power broker in this case, and that it's possible that different power regions are focusing on different people here.
Oh, yeah, it makes total sense. Plus, each of them are pointing fingers at each other. So, they have legal teams who are coming up with things and saying, no, go to him, go to him, go to him. And of course, Alec at the very center, well, he has the most to lose, so to speak. Speaking of which, though, he has a history. You turn this up of gun play in his family, right?
Oh, well, don't say that. I mean, this guy here, this is real. This guy here died in 1983 of lung cancer, and he was only 55 years old. his name was Alexander Baldwin. He was Alec's father. And when they did the autopsy on him, he died of lung cancer. They went to Alec. The coroner said, "Did your father work in a lead mine or in the coal mines?" All his body was filled with lead and lead dust. And Alec pointed out that my father worked in an enclosed rifle and gun range as the high school rifle coach for 28 years, Eric. And he died for that job, according to Alec Baldwin, who then sued the school when his father died, and they took down the entire gun range brick by brick and destroyed it. They were going to test for lead in the bricks because that's what the coroner indicated to Baldwin, that his father for 28 years not only was a gun expert, was the coach of the high school rifle and gun club and was in this indoor firing range for 28 years until it killed him from lead fumes. People are just coming in at any time. What do you have, the door open and everybody just comes right in now?
Oh, hi there, Mark. Didn't see you.
I didn't see you there. How's it going?
Well, good. I have as long as I can do this until my wife realizes what I'm doing. So I say maybe 15 minutes.
Okay. So let's jump to that. We've pretty much covered the father story. So we need to go to search warrants, because having David here, he could talk legality, what maybe they're looking for, things like that. What do you think?
Well, my knowledge or my experience with search warrants is exquisitely limited, as in from whatever I can recall from law school, because I never practiced criminal law. But I just put out a tweet because I got to rub Stephen King's nose in his own stupidity for as long as that tweet remains on Twitter. It was, what was it, 3 days ago? He puts out a tweet and says, if you lawyer up, that's what cartels do. They lawyer up and try to hide the truth. I was like, yeah, look at Alec Baldwin lawyering up and not giving his cell phone over to the authorities when they demand for it. Go get a warrant, he says, lawyers up, and then they got a warrant and they're going to go seize his cell phone, looking for some very specific things, which dude's in trouble. I mean, he's in trouble. I predicted it.
By the way, I tweeted out with somebody and went back and forth a little bit about it, and I tagged you. I don't know if you saw it, but I think it's actually prudent of his lawyers to say, no, you can't have the phone without a search warrant, because it forces them to limit what they're searching. They're stating we're looking for this, and this, and not going on a full-blown fishing expedition. Or am I incorrect in my assertion?
David, you pointed out what they did in Project Veritas. They took the cell phones, then started leaking it to the New York Times. It's quite possible that whatever's on there could be leaked to anybody they want to leak this stuff to, unless they get a special master, right, David?
Well, if a special master, but forget that. Buy him some time. See what they want in their warrant. Then delete everything else, and then even potentially delete stuff that might overlap but plead ignorance. Oh, I didn't think it was related to that, and I just wanted to give you only the relevant information. Accidents happen, but here's the thing. I think Baldwin is. Everyone knows what I think of Baldwin, and I do think, I said it before, I think he's going to face charges. I don't fault him strategically for doing this. You would have to be an idiot to hand over your phone to the authorities.
No, of course.
You'd have to be an idiot. Get them, specify the limitations so that if they do get other information, that they can't use it. The fruits of the poison fruits of the whatever the expression is.
Fruit of the poison tree.
Fruit of the poison tree. But my goodness, I mean, it's all going downhill real fast for Baldwin. And the warrant has 5 pages of investigative notes. I mean,
I read that. Yeah, I was reading that.
I mean, it's nothing really shockingly new. It's just that the armorer looks like she might be much more innocent than what we originally thought, because she really wasn't involved in it. But I didn't, Mark, you can feel this. I didn't understand what was meant when it said that the armorer was trying to put dummies in, and then there was one that wouldn't fit, and so she fixed it. That I didn't understand.
I have some information on that, actually.
Yeah, Eric might have something on that. I have some additional information that I found out this morning, and a lot of this has to do with the incredibly draconian, and she says this herself, Hannah Reid, these draconian COVID measures that have been in place since the filmmaking started up again. It's almost impossible to work like a normal film crew. And she wasn't in the church itself where she should have been, David, because of the insane COVID protocols and not allowing. There's 3 zones, Zone A, Zone B, and Zone C, because of union rules. And she, in her testimony, in her statement, said that she was not allowed to be in the church because of the zoning and the COVID protocols that are insane. So it affected her job, is what she's claiming. And I happen to agree with her. The protocols are nuts.
No, it's amazing because COVID is more dangerous than a loaded gun. I mean, this is literally what they're saying.
I said to Eric this morning, Hutchins may have died from COVID. You know, based on COVID statistical evidence, she may have been killed by COVID because the protocols allowed gun safety to be compromised. I mean, that's what Reed is saying. She couldn't stay with her own weapons.
Okay. Also, on the note of the rounds and some of the confusion and not being able to fit it in. First off, I happened to get another bottle, and they sent, pictures of what the basic dummy rounds type of situation is, what they look like going in. Is a handwritten box. But first off, PDQ's 50 dummy rounds had been overly aged and needed to be cleaned up individually with steel wool.
That's the 6th bullet, David, that she was referring to.
These dummy rounds were given to Sarah Zachary with a handwritten label on gaffer tape. The 7+ live rounds found on the set were typical condition rounds, not prematurely aged by chemicals. The box of dummy rounds Hannah loaded Baldwin's gun with had a printed label, and the styrofoam box is worn, likely to have been previously used on multiple movie sets.
Okay, so the reason the dummy rounds have to be chemically treated is to make them look not shiny, David, like they're brand new coming out of some factory. So they have to dirty them up to make them look like they're not brand new and distract in the scene of looking down the barrel of a gun. Because if they were bright and shiny, that would be the focus of the eyeball's attention. So they are dirtied up. And what Hannah was saying was that 6th one was too dirty to go into that cylinder. So she was cleaning that round.
And you can see how shiny these are coming out.
Yeah, look at the tips on these. Yeah, they're very shiny.
And these are all dummy belts, if you will, on another set.
Right.
Another bottle.
We now have another player involved here, David, just to make your life even more cumbersome. We have Billy Ray now. Billy W. Ray is now involved. A veteran art director apparently admits now that he gave PDQ and Hannah live rounds and dummy rounds himself. Is that?
Yeah, I actually have specific quote on that.
That was not in the warrant.
This is I'm breaking this.
We're breaking this now. This Billy Ray thing, not the famous writer director Billy Ray, because there's another Billy Ray who wrote Shattered Glass, who wrote a lot of films. This is not him. This is Billy W. Ray, who's a famous art director from Breaking Bad and Longmire, right? Eric?
Yeah, Longmire.
Yeah, he's got a lot of credits. 29 years as an art director. He admits he supplied rounds to the shoot.
Okay. On this though, in addition to PDQ and Billy Ray supplying the 3840 and 4440 dummy rounds, Hannah and Thel had dummy rounds from previous films that Hannah had with her on Rust. There were some populated in leather gun rigs and others in boxes. Here's another thing about the set. They found 7 other live 45 long Colt rounds in different places. Here are the places: Hannah's armorer's bag, the prop armorer cart, one more in the dummy round box, one in Alec's holder, and possibly some in a large green tote that was Hannah's. They had nickel primers. These are live rounds.
Yeah, just randomly scattered
all over the freaking set. I mean, it does not look good. And
well, I mean, that's what gun people do. They have live rounds on them. Again, this is not a closed set on a Hollywood lot. This is the desert. This is people do have live rounds in desert shoots. This is not a sound stage of Paramount. Those ordinances are for sound stages on the Hollywood lot. I mean, this girl is shooting all the time. She's got live rounds. That's not bizarre, in my humble opinion.
Well, no, just say like the odd real round mixed in with the dummy rounds in random locations is odd. Sounds like, going back to the sabotage theory or grotesque negligence theory. But and I'm just saying, looking at those dummy rounds, I obviously have limited knowledge of what bullets and rounds look like, I would never be able to tell the difference.
Right. So there is one way to tell the difference. And both Sarah Zachary and Hannah said she took out the 5 remaining rounds from the murder weapon. She took out the 5 remaining rounds and she shook them. And the pellet that was inside was audible of the 5 rounds. That's her statement. And Zachary did the same thing. But when Sarah Zachary, the prop master, received the box of dummy rounds, she said that 7 out of the 50 were live rounds, Eric.
That's even more insane than 1. Like 1 bullet, you could figure.
No, 1 could be a mistake. 7 is just absolutely gross negligence. Absolutely gross negligence.
To me, it seems like more like dropping poison jelly beans in kids' jars, and so at some point someone's going to get to them. But I'm standing by my theory.
I'm sorry. Either this box came from Billy Ray or it came from Seth Kenney. That's where we are right now in this investigation. Either Billy W. Ray supplied these dummy rounds that had 7 live rounds in it, this box of 50, or Seth Kenney. I think they're pointing fingers at each other, Eric. Is that possible?
No, I actually don't think they are, because
well, Seth Kenney said there was another supplier, but he wouldn't name him. Now we know it's Billy W. Ray.
I didn't see. Did he say that in the search warrant or what? Because Billy Ray was mentioned, I believe, in the search warrant from Seth Kenney.
But Seth Kenney refused to name the other supplier.
Okay, I didn't.
In the 2020 episode, he would not name the other supplier.
Okay.
We now know the other supplier is Billy W. Ray.
Right. Well, and the third supplier is Hannah.
Right, or Zell indirectly.
Just so everybody, everyone in the chat knows, I saw Nate in the chat. Nate, if you're watching this, I just messaged you, text message the link. So I
might have a prosecutor with us. Crazy.
Yeah, well, I
prosecutor.
I'm going to tell you, Nate is going to be far more useful than me for this discussion. But I might do a Viva on the street just to go over that affidavit. But no, man. I'm going to stand by my theory, because I think, like I said, I don't think Alec Baldwin knew there was a live round in there, but I think he pulled the trigger on, just to make a scene for whatever the reason, according to my theory. But this is nuts. There's seven random real bullets sprinkled into all these dummy rounds. Is there
a box of 50 had 7 live rounds in it? Yeah, that's a huge percentage.
Yes, and they were all over the place. So let me see. We've got. I did want to say that it's odd that they're going through Billy Ray, who's a famous art director, but he is not actually the art director on the movie. That's this guy.
Right.
Daniel Omens, who is a signatory on the new letter that Alec Baldwin put up on Instagram saying everything was just hunky-dory.
This guy, his last name is Ometz, Ometz?
Omitz.
Ometz, okay.
Right, but the other guy, the guy we're talking about, Billy Ray, is not just the art director. He's also a prop master and a gun guy. This guy just seems to be a regular art director. Yes. Billy Ray has worked on a lot of cowboy pictures and is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. He lives there. So Billy Ray, that's his area to work. So I don't know, whether it's him and Seth Kenney on a lot of shoots, but they both worked on a lot of cowboy pictures and a lot of TV shoots, and Breaking Bad. He's got Emmy nominations for Breaking Bad, Billy Ray. He's a real player.
And Nate, by the way, cannot make it, so don't anyone think he's miffed or anyone's miffed, but he just messaged me. But so he's watching but can't attend. But Nate, we might have to do something, a wrap up and get your input, because this is definitely up your alley, not mine. But here's my thought reading that reading the affidavit for the warrant. I'm like, I hope. I don't hope. If Alec Baldwin said something publicly in that George Stephanopoulos interview that is contrary to what he said at any point to the investigators, he has effed himself so hard. Like it's looking bad, and there's no positive way to spin this. Like, Erica, I saw the Twitter exchange. Yeah, it's prudent of him to do this. It's not a sign of guilt, but it's a sign that the investigation is taking a very, very sharp turn or a direct line to the man himself.
Okay, and on that, Mark, you were looking up our cop.
Oh yeah, David, this is the woman who is in charge of the investigation. This woman has only worked in the Santa Fe Sheriff's Department for 4 years, and she is the direct Baldwin hunter. There she is getting sworn in 3.5,
2018.
4 years ago. I just find it odd that they wouldn't put the most seasoned sheriff detective in their department on this case, as opposed to this woman who has worked for just 4 years. I mean, part of the controversy is that Hannah Reid is inexperienced.
Well, here, there's some times in life when lack of experience might be an asset, in that she might be too young to be corrupt. She might not have any family ties, connections to Alec Baldwin that would make her worse than, a senior guy. In fact,
Right.
I would trust her to be more rogue, independent, trying to make a name for herself than one who is already corrupt and under the influence of Baldwin and political parties. Maybe.
What
it's
if
the
her
exact
name
opposite.
was Alexandria Hancock?
Other than the juvenile side of me,
Yes, the Beavis and Butthead side of you.
What if her name was Alexandria Clinton and then she was related to the Clintons or Comey?
Well, then we'd have another story.
Yeah, maybe then I would, question the prosecutorial independence. But
Could it
young
also
might
be that
good.
she's part of a team and maybe she drew the short straw, so she does the secretarial part?
I don't know. She's the one that interviewed every single person, Eric. Her signature is on every document. I mean, I just find it odd that they would, make her the top cop.
Yeah, I mean, good point. These are all these dots that
This
we're
is
finding.
no criticism of her. I mean, how big of a case has the Santa Fe Sheriff's Department had bigger than this? Really? That's who you're going to put on the case?
Yeah, it is unusual.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This case might not have been that big. They might not have thought it would have gotten that big at the beginning, because maybe there's accidental discharge and the world would forget about it. But this, and like I say, this is why I think Alec Baldwin has exacerbated the public attention to this by speaking so publicly. Had he just shut his mouth, maybe people forget about it.
Yeah.
But the more
Even
he talks about it,
said that. Yeah, the sheriff said that after the 2020.
Like, you know who has done that beautifully? Where's Joel Souza?
Where's the director? Yeah.
And I'll tell you how well he's doing it. I was listening to another podcast talking about this, and the person actually said that the only people that could have been determining the shots being done that day, camera shots, etc. Well, obviously it was between her and Alec Baldwin and Dave Halls. And I'm sitting here going, there's the other guy there, the director. Maybe the director made judgments about the light, but he has disappeared.
Take a look at John Landis, the trial that John Landis went through in LA for chopping off Vic Morrow's head with a helicopter and killing those Vietnamese kids for the Twilight Zone movie. He was the director. He ordered those shots. He stood trial. He was acquitted in the trial in LA and Los Angeles, but nevertheless, I mean, they had to indict John Landis, the director in that case.
Well,
and there were a lot of people pointing fingers and passing the buck, and ADs were saying things. The same thing with the Georgia case, Eric, with the train.
He went to prison.
But the other four were indicted. The other four, the AD, the producer, and the line producer, all four were indicted with Randall Miller.
Well, my theory as to why Sousa's not talking is because he's not going to have anything good for Baldwin to say, because I think Sousa knows exactly what my version of events, and he's not saying a damn word unless he has to, because he doesn't want to throw Baldwin under the bus, and he still has to live and work in that
He's
area.
also a producer. He has actual financial stakes in it because he's a producer in addition to being a director. And so he has to kind of play both ends of it. Technically he's responsible. No, he is responsible for everything that happens on the set. The same way that Randall Miller got prosecuted along with the other four, as Mark just mentioned, or Landis got prosecuted. For some reason, his name.
Yeah, that's why I think everybody's got to go down, David. I don't think you cannot send everyone to the grand jury and let the grand jury sort it out. I think all three or four or five. I don't know. I mean, I just think you throw it in the hopper if I'm the district attorney.
True. And maybe that's why Sousa keeps his mouth shut, because his long-term plan might be just throw Alec under the bus when you get to trial. The dude pulled the trigger because he was pissed at Halyna, and he didn't know there was a bullet in there, but that's what he did. And don't say it now, because you give everyone a chance to prepare their defense, knowing what you're going to say. Although if that's what happened, I suspect everyone knows that's what happened. I was thinking like the other individual who talked themselves into a conviction, and it would have just gone away if he had shut it up.
Juicy.
Just like you piss off, you embarrass the investigators by opening your big yap in public.
Right. Sure.
But no, I think Sousa's keeping quiet. It's the smart thing to do, but I think it's only because now that I didn't realize that Sousa was a producer, so he's.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a producer, Eric. Is that true?
I believe so. Didn't
Okay.
you? Well, you pulled the you've got the budget, and you showed.
I don't think
Suze
he's a
got-
producer, but he might be. He might be.
Well, he had a cut,
I might go to.
according to your budget.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I don't know.
no. He has a cut as a screenwriter and as a director, not as a producer.
Let's see if the
His
chat
rate
knows.
was as a screenwriter and a director.
Okay, I thought he had a producer credit.
No,
too.
no, it's not true. It's not true.
But
Either way, a director is still liable for
Yes, yes.
what's going on.
Yeah,
It's
but
only a
as director,
second feature, by the way.
What was his first one?
It's called Crown Vic, which
Yeah.
Baldwin was a producer on, starring Thomas Jane. Shot in L.A. Very good little crime picture. LAPD crime picture came out 2 years ago. But that was his first feature, and this one is his second feature. So, I mean, this guy's just trying to hang on for dear life for a career here, I guess. You know.
Well, if he gets charged, he's throwing Alec under the bus harder than anything. But yeah, he's been keeping quiet. But and you'd think
So's
that he
Dave
would be-
Halls hasn't said a word either, Eric. Dave
His
Halls
lawyer,
is-
though, he keeps trotting his lawyer out.
Yes,
to the top.
which is what you're supposed to do according to the David Viva school of defendants. Just have your mouthpiece talk.
It's pretty much 101, and make sure that your mouthpiece, talks as little as possible, unless there's a good
Exactly. I was
reason
going to
for it.
say maybe you don't even need them out there talking. Maybe
No
they just
comment-
need to
no
stand
comment, 'cause
by.
it-
Yeah.
They're very powerful words. No comment, because you can't make a mistake by saying it. But man, no, I'll tell you, the Alec Baldwin's story is going to get it's been scrutinized and torn apart by the internet knowledge. Now you have prosecutors or investigators who are going to try to line that up and pair it up with what he said to the investigator during.
Yeah, now we're getting into instant messaging because that's what they're looking for. The text, what was leaked out was the text messages we're talking about was his preferences of the size and color and shape of the weaponry, which is quite typical in Hollywood. The star gets to choose, David, what kind of gun they want, whatever's on the outside. Weapons, they get to pick the color of a horse, the color of a car, the type of car. That's all A-list picking stuff that works with the prop master, or in this case, the gun person. She showed him various weapons and he wanted a bigger gun in this particular case. So the text messages and emails they're referring to is between him and Hannah Reid about the size, color, and style of gun.
Which, by the way, he is denying now on his restored Twitter account, which is private. Both of his Twitter accounts are there, but they're both private, which is very interesting. So he's denying. Oh, no, I didn't say that. But guess what? Oh, I might maybe had another bottle come in with a text exchange from Hannah to somebody else.
Oh, boy.
Now, you can't read it here, so I recreated it. I just want people to know that this is not legitimate. I recreated it just so you can get an idea of what was said. And I think it's very interesting.
Oh, this is between the two of them, yeah.
Whoa.
It's
Where'd
not
you get
between
this?
Hannah and
Where'd you get this,
Alec.
Eric?
It's between Hannah and somebody else, and I don't know. A bottle drifted in this strange test exchange. I cannot reveal the source, but Hannah,
what is a hot round? Who? I mean, I'm an idiot, and I know what a hot round is.
Like a pretty big load of actual ammunition, like for bears, I guess. Now, what I'm curious about is, what if Alec wanted to have a big gun? Wouldn't you have to have big ammunition to go with that? Like a Desert Eagle 50 caliber has a bigger bullet than a 45 caliber.
No. I mean, it's a period piece. You're restrained by the type of weapon.
Well, okay, this is true, but
and the script delineates what type of weapon he has. It's just a choice of the color of the handle and the look of the gun. That's artistically chosen by the star.
Which
he's not going to take out a bazooka, Eric, and start shooting it because he wants a bigger gun. It's within real historical constraints.
I don't know, but this exchange is very interesting. Like for bears, I guess, never shoot live ammo out of TV/movie guns, only blanks. But okay, fair enough. It's a serious mistake. Always ends in tears. Good to know. I'm still going to shoot mine though. Your pistol is on you, and you know the history of it. True that.
I don't understand what is going on there.
This sounds like Hannah Reid texting a prop house, gun prop house, or a gun guy in a prop house, or another gun guy. This is between I don't know. Could be
Yeah.
another property master, somebody in the prop department. Somebody who's a civilian, doesn't know guns, and she's doing what she's doing. This is not her and Alec Baldwin.
No,
This is
it
her,
is
no,
not.
no. This is her and some crew member.
Gentlemen, I have been summoned thoroughly, and I had better go upstairs. Everything is fine, people. Everything's fine.
Okay.
I got to go join the party, but I'm going to watch this afterwards because I explore that text thread and flesh out what's going on for a noob like me because I'm genuinely curious. But Mark, happy holidays. Although I'll see you beforehand. Eric, I'll talk to you guys soon, and everyone in the chat, enjoy the weekend.
Thank you,
All right.
Dan. Thank you. Okay, so you want to move on to Hilaria now, or?
Yeah, I mean, since we've got all the weirdness here, Hilaria, she's got to have her say. I mean, she wants to draw headlines and be famous, loves attention, things like that. And an email came into us. This wasn't a bottle, it was an email. And it came from somebody who was a viewer. So, by the way, folks, when you put things in comments or you go to my site and fill out a contact form, I appreciate it. It helps us out immensely.
Yeah, you guys are
And-
the dot connectors. We're just the dot creators.
Absolutely. And this story,
This story's great.
woo, this
Woo.
story is just astounding.
I had no idea where this was going.
Yeah, we had
This-
we were like,
I am
what?
just a man. I need a woman splainer to explain this to me. This was way past my gender pay grade of this particular. Anything I say here is explosive. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I guess to get the story together, I can't remember how many kids he has with Hilaria. I think it's 5 kids with her, and then 6. The 6 is with Kim Basinger.
Right.
So somehow, though, Hilaria has managed to have a lot of kids and is in very good shape by, I think, all accounts, yoga instructor and everything else. And there is a Reddit of, I'd say, primarily women dedicated to their feelings about her. And they're saying that, well, there may be a reason that she's recovered so nicely and she can body shame other women who have kids.
Well,
and-
they call it mommy shaming, by the way.
Yes.
Well, my
and,
mommy shamed me, but I don't think it's the same as this.
That's true. That's true.
This is some
but
mommy
there are
shaming.
tools that help people in doing this.
Really?
Like this.
What is this, Eric? This looks like
is-
something from a Hollywood prop department.
Yeah. Go figure.
This is used in movies all the time. It's a phony pregnancy stomach. That's where it originates. And apparently today, someone like Hilaria Baldwin, or maybe even him. Oh, here's how it works. If you're going to order at home, 1-800 false tummy. If you want to.
Oh, it's
order
on
it.
Amazon. This is an Amazon picture.
Yeah,
for
this is
God's
an
sake.
Amazon thing. I found this on Amazon. This is great. According to our person of interest, the woman who sent this to us, she has worn this and falsified being pregnant while using a surrogate mom. And then 2 days after receiving the baby, again, I don't know the terminology here, she whips this off and shows her Instagram viewers how great she looks, according to these sources that we have now. It's just an absolutely insane situation. You think that others have done this, Eric?
No, apparently they have. I don't know if they are surrogate mothers and they keep themselves
Right.
in good shape. A couple pretty popular women here, both have been open saying that they use surrogates.
Oh yeah,
And there's nothing at all wrong with that, especially they did it because they are beyond 40 and it's
Right.
concerns of health and things. But the idea of wearing a prosthetic, walking around like, oh, and and getting all the love and the sympathy for it, and then miraculously getting out, it's like, really now? I can't confirm it's true. It's just a lot of people are speculating on it, and if so,
that's crazy.
it's
I
disturbing.
mean, she would have had to have done that 5 times with with
Oh.
5 children.
Says
2 of
here,
the kids
two
are
of
5 months apart.
Well, okay. That's
Well, I
a-
think the mathematics is starting to explain itself here. I haven't dedicated my life to studying. Hilaria's not opposed to faking. Clearly, right? No.
Yeah.
Betty Boop is correct. The reality of it is, I'm looking at it from Alec Baldwin, just from a man's point of view. If I have a wife who has an entire phony accent, a fake character from Spain, makes me go out and help her fool the paparazzi who are stalking both of us, wearing a phony belly for 5 different kids, I mean, I'd lose my mind. I don't know why I would put up with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
you might be concerned about paparazzi being around.
That's what I'm saying. You might be very
you might be touchy. Yeah.
touchy about paparazzi getting too close to your crazy wife with the phony pregnancy belly. I mean, this thing gets crazier every week, Eric. I mean, why? Okay, so the sources who brought us this are claiming there's a lot of money involved, that she is a mommy influencer on Instagram, and she has a lot of followers, and she's deceiving them by making, she's shaming them, in other words, by taking off the belly and then looking slender and thin the next day. And that's the shaming part, I guess.
Yeah, which again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with surrogacy. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad that it's available for people to have an opportunity to have children. They may not, but the idea of wearing a prosthetic is just twisted.
Right. I would never do it. I would never do it.
No, I mean, no. Be honest. It's like, okay, here, and I guess that they did admit their last kid is a surrogate, according to the chat.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many surrogates they have, how many adopted kids, but the phony belly and the phony accent and the phony country. I mean, this is just getting too crazy. It's just getting too crazy. I mean, there's something wrong here. And now we've got, you know, Baldwin's phone getting picked up, and God knows what's on that phone. I shudder to think the extraneous matter that might be on that phone. I like that they gave us the last 4 digits of his phone number.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
In
they
the
completely doxed him.
3999. In case anybody's from New York, you could probably figure out the Soho area code of 917 downtown. That leaves you with your 3 digits away, my viewers, from actually calling Alec Baldwin on the phone. Or you may get Alexandria Hancock in Santa Fe and have her pick up the phone. But I think it's 3999, the last 4 digits of the.
And then they, what was it? They did his birthday weird on it too. It's like,
yeah, they redacted the date and month of his birthday and left the year 1958. That's helpful in case you did not want to have ageism involved in the storyline. You now don't know that he was born in 1958. You just don't know exactly that it was April 6th or whatever. I forget what it was.
Okay, this is interesting. Somebody's writing that her fake heritage was exposed because Hilaria claimed that she was the one who was being body shamed by Amy Schumer for having too perfect of a post-baby body. Oh, very interesting. That's like a little confession by projection.
Wow. I don't know who I like less, Hilaria or Amy Schumer.
I don't know. That's a hard call.
That's a tough battle. I
mean, that's a battle to the death. I don't want to die on either hill.
Wow.
put them together on a bowling team and then just lock the door.
Right. Well, the guy who is the special effects guy seems to be an interesting witness to the case. That large man who was, I think his name was Thomas Gandy. He seems to be able to be in the church, but because of COVID protocols, Hannah Reed is not permitted to be in the church because she is, because of the different zones that they have. They're so crazy that it's, I believe, affecting the safety of movies, and they don't want to admit that. I think that's one of the dark areas they don't want to get into. They now have intimacy management people on set. I was told you have to go to 2 intimacy managers if you're the leading man. You have to negotiate with the manager. No. I swear to God, you can't make this up. You've got 2 union people who are intimacy managers for love scenes between the star and the starlet, and you have to negotiate every single move you're going to make in the love scene, and then see if it's acceptable to the actress, who reports to her broker, and they negotiate the scene. That's one part of it.
This sounds like a comedy routine.
You can't make this up.
Marriage counseling or something.
Right. This was told to me by numerous A-list stars. And they're losing momentum and emotion in the scene because, in other words, instinctively they want to, put their arm around the girl's waist. They're in bed, whatever. All of that kissing her, how she's kissed, how she's touched, vice versa, the girl doing the same thing, has to be negotiated and agreed upon by the two intimacy coaches.
So I'm guessing the Brown Bunny would not happen then.
Brown Bunny would not be remade today. Let me put it that way. And Vincent Gallo probably wouldn't be allowed on a set anyway. So dig. So the COVID protocols are even crazier, which exacerbates the rigidness of the production. And if you add on a low budget shoot, now you've got another level of craziness happening. The COVID protocols have 3 zones: Zone A, Zone B, and Zone C. Zone C is considered the outside world. Zone B are extras and extraneous crew members, and Zone A are the bubble people that are the principal crew and principal stars and that crew. So you're stuck now where you can't interact quickly and move fast and go in and out of a church with a handgun, in the case of Hannah Reed, who claims in the affidavit that I read that COVID protocols prevented her from being in the church with a gun. And that's why she gave it to Dave Halls, is where I'm going with this. She gave it to, because she wasn't allowed in, but Dave Halls was.
Yeah, and that's something that's been out there for a while, but I think it's passed by everybody because it just was sort of there.
It passed by me. I didn't know why she wasn't in there. It didn't make any sense. It passed by me. And that's why I think they're not mentioning it, because it sounds and is totally batshit crazy. And the unions, the DGA and the guilds, came up with these crazy draconian COVID protocols just so they could go back to work. They didn't give a shit about any of this stuff. All their science is completely insane. They just came up with all these bubbles and zones and everything else. And they said, look, it was all overkill. If you read the white papers they put out, the one I sent you, it's just crazy. It's just great. They just wanted to shoot movies. You know, so they're testing every 5 minutes. They've got people in masks. They've got people on the other side of the set. They can't come near the set. You got to keep A-list talent away.
I opened another window.
Okay, so we did the belly, right?
Yeah, no, we did the belly. I was just going to show the zones. I'll be probably putting this up on locals later. Anyway.
Belly? Oh, the zone system. Yeah, this is what I gave you. Yeah, the zone system. I extracted that from the overall, I think, white paper, which is 57 pages long. The white paper is 57 pages, but that's just the crazy zone system.
Do they sanitize the gun between each handoff? Yeah, good question. They probably want to.
That is not even a crazy question. I swear to God, they probably did. They probably had to sanitize every single thing. And there's probably no fingerprints on everything from the FBI in the Quantico, Virginia forensics lab, because there's so much hand gel going around that it's probably all over the guns and bullets and everything else.
Wow. Crazy. And yes, ironically, maybe COVID killed her.
That's what I said this morning. It may be indirectly related to COVID, and they do not want that story to get out. They really don't.
And
I mean, nobody knows about these COVID.
And it ruins our chance for monetization on this video, by the way. We've said the word way too many.
Else. We should have used another word.
So thanks for the super chats and support, folks.
Let's say cough syrup from now on instead of COVID. We'll say cough syrup. Obviously, the cough syrup protocols.
I like
a bad word.
What? Say what?
Is protocol? Oh, we shouldn't say
I don't know.
The cough syrup rules. Let's just say that the cough syrup rules.
Andrew of Legal Mindset calls it the beer bug.
Right. Now, I didn't understand also that Baldwin was read his Miranda rights when he came in there, Eric. Did you know that?
I'm sure he would be. I mean,
it never crossed my mind because, was every single person read their Miranda rights?
Probably.
You took every single person they took a statement from that day?
Well, anybody who was directly involved there. I'm sure that another cast member, probably not, if they were not directly in the scene, but I would assume that Sousa, Baldwin, Halls, Hannah Reed.
Sousa was in the hospital. They took a thing from Halls, so they probably read him as Miranda, right?
I'm sure probably in both. I mean, I'm just saying anyone who was in that room, it's like a locker room mystery, so to speak. I would think they would. I don't know. I don't know the rules. But
well, she said the guns were carried in socks, not regular socks, but it's like a gun sock, like from
a canvas
the
bag.
Yeah. But it looks like a sock, or they call it a sock. and brought over to the set. And then, you know, it was weird because Baldwin said, what did he say? 99.9% of the time, Hannah gave me the gun, except that one time.
But this is the one time in the very small space,
right?
That the protocols may have been. Whatever.
Yes. No, not absolutely true. Absolutely, because it was a tight space and they kept her outside. They probably had a rule saying you have to limit exposure to 6 people or 5 or principal photography or whatever. And she was boxed out. And she does mention that in her statement, which is, you know, when I was reading her statement, the more I think about this, the more innocent she looks, Eric, you know?
Well, I was going to say that actually is very, very effective for her at trial.
Yes.
I could say, you know, I don't know if that's going to prevent charges. I think that they still may come fast and furious, but that does give a defense attorney really something heavy to lean on and say,
right,
okay, why was she not there? No, she wasn't allowed there.
Right, but keep in mind, the original story was she had to go off and do other prop duties, quote unquote. That is not true. It was because of COVID that she couldn't get into that church. That is a crock. And I believe that was said for a reason, to avoid the cough.
Well, her own lawyer said that, though. So make up your mind.
I know.
I mean, you know, and Dave Halls, he didn't pull the trigger, but
I
didn't hand the gun, but I did hand the gun. But it's just so convoluted. And they're the folks that are making this go on and on and on and on.
Well, now with the Napolitano, with me and Napolitano involved, and next week, we're going to see a statement, because for some reason they have a 6-month ticking clock on their jurisdiction. I don't even understand what that means, but they're going to grill Dave Halls about his violation of the environment. I don't understand what that's about. You know, to do other people.
It's OSHA. It's an OSHA violation. It just falls under their Department of Environmental, but it's OSHA.
Right. And I get the jurisdictional reason, because he is the safety person on the set, right, Eric? I mean, that's kind of why they're going to him.
Probably, but I'm saying, if I was a lawyer, I'd say screw you. And I guess a judge is saying you have to talk. I would just go in, if I was him, and say I plead the fifth.
Yep. Nice I wouldn't give him anything. I wouldn't give him 1 cent, because they're going to use that against him, that transcript.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that's an asinine thing to go in and do anything.
Well, again, I think there's elements trying to focus on him as opposed to Baldwin, is what I'm guessing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I think we've provided bottles, we've provided dots. I mean, what else do we have here?
I don't know. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of stuff here, and a lot of it is ongoing now, and we're going to learn more the next couple of days. I mean, right, Eric? I mean, this seems to be happening in real time. I mean, we're lucky to have this information coherently put together in some sort of a package.
Yeah, it was a long day.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But we're going to still do our regular episodes. We've got this rock band story on Tuesday.
Yep.
Maybe we'll just do Baldwin on Friday every week, and just, you know, have a
if it keeps going on every week. I mean, we weren't planning to do it every week. It's like, well, okay, maybe we've wrapped it up now for a while. We'll have to wait until something comes out in a month or so. It's like, oh no, you could do, well, there's H.A. Goodman does about 2 or 3 Baldwins a day.
Right. I mean, you know, look, I like the story, but I mean, you know, we've got other stories that we could tell besides this Baldwin story, but apparently it's got more plot twist than we could imagine now.
Yep. It's always growing. So, Mark, where can people support
us?
Yeah.
Right down below it, Lord Buckley, my Twitter account, LY as opposed to LEY. Join me on Twitter. If you want to PayPal me, I could certainly, you know, I just survive on coffee and books. That's all I really need. Everything else is, the backdrop is phony. This is a phony.
It's really a Zoom call.
This is, I don't know how this happened, but if I just get coffee and book money, I think you people can keep me alive for another couple of years. And you can possibly subscribe to the channel, right, Eric?
Well, subscribe for free. I mean, if you aren't, then what's wrong with you? I mean, it's
right. There's also my book, Rehab Nation, down there. If you want to buy the book, it's got the history of rehabs and addiction, which is kind of fun. And there's a lot of celebrities in the book, if you want to explore that. But also, you can become a member, right, Eric?
Yes, at Locals. And there, like, I will be putting up the search warrants and other documents from tonight, and we can keep the discussion going. The cool thing about Locals is we can hear from you and have a conversation with you, and you can have a conversation with each other. I don't
Right.
like the other ones because it's all top down, to where we just sit there and say, oh, here's something that we're saying. This gives you the ability to talk and communicate and participate, which makes
Right.
it so much better.
I started to go through the JFK records that were released, and I'm starting to post them on Locals for members with a little bit of analysis. I'm cherry picking the ones that I find interesting out of the 1,500 that were released. One of the things, just two things I realized quickly. The Russian stuff out of the Mexico City was cherry picked because of the current Ukrainian-Russian situation politically, I believe. And the second fact of the matter is that it seems at the bottom of the barrel is all about Mexico City. And I don't have time to get into that, but Mexico City breaks the case because Oswald was never in Mexico City, and there was a phony Oswald there. And J. Edgar Hoover told LBJ on the day of the assassination that night that it was a phony photo and a phony audio recording. And that's a transcript that I have, and most people have read that. And the documents that remain in the 1,500 that they released concerned Mexico City, which is the Casablanca of the Cold War, Eric.
Yeah, and I noticed that they mentioned that it was a Russian who was paying, not the Soviet Union, because there was no Russia at the time. It was a subsidiary.
This was quickly seized upon by The Guardian and the Daily Mail, who are masters of anti-Soviet and anti-Russian propaganda. And they're trying, American neocons are trying to start a war between the Ukraine and Russia at this time. So not unusual why in the middle of December, these 1,500 documents are cherry picked and released. And they were in the Daily Mail before they even opened the box. So I think they were pre-written to be released. But I'm going to post more on Locals and analyze them as I go through them for the members. So that's a little, and then we're eventually going to do a series of episodes on Oswald and Jack Ruby and Ruth Payne and some of the other key players in the assassination once we get off of this Baldwin track and have some more free time.
Right. And that's unstructured.locals.com. And for now, good night.